What is up, fellas? Oh, that should be on the other screen. Hopefully the chat should be more stable this time. Obviously, every single other time I've streamed, I've had chat issues. It doesn't look pretty. YouTube chat in OBS seems like it's a bit of a dark art. Maybe I'll master it someday. And I still also want to work on the, like, hopefully there's like a fantasy monospace font I can grab at some point for the little text in the bottom left. But yeah, still working on theming everything and all that good stuff. But hopefully this is still kind of epic. Oh, actually, I just remembered. I think I had one other graphical element that I should have thrown in on the stream here, but let me see. Yeah, okay. Uno momento, mi amigos. All right, now we are good to go. For realsy. What's going on, Kian? Obviously, Kian is the one who bankrolled the Immortal class, so you can thank him if you like the Immortal class later. All right, so obviously one of the things that we were working on last was that Immortal class, and let's just re-familiarize ourselves with where we were regarding it. I'm gonna try to link this real quick. Okay, that way we are in sync. Yeah, exactly. Find my stream space. So, immortals are, as I was attempting to describe to somebody recently, I'll take 1,000 arrows for my homies. That's basically how Three Crow actually, Kian described it to me earlier too. That was kind of the vibe he was going for. The one who tries to put themselves in harm's way and relocate themselves so that they can be in harm's way, and that kind of thing. It's funny because earlier today I was working on a unit for my RTS game. I was thinking about a concept for a unit for my RTS game, and one of the concepts I came up with was like when fatal damage would be dealt to an ally, this unit would switch places with that allied unit and then take that fatal hit, and that would like drain it of its energy, and that would be the cooldown on the ability. That's obviously a very different kind of game than tabletop, but I like the idea. I'm sure it's already been done at some point of like being able to use a reaction to shield an ally from a hit. Whether that ends up being a subclass thing that requires a key point, or what, is kind of like left up in the air. But that was something that I was thinking about. Since we were starting to change the Immortal to be a little bit more of a strength-based unarmed attacker, at least like that was one of the main things that you can do with it. That was kind of like the direction we had last pushed it in from memory. I'll just take another quick look at everything. So for level 1, you've got the key that you can use for bound and reconstituting aura. For level 1, you also get spiritual warfare, which is... it basically lets you use your con modifier to supplement your dex modifier for unarmored armor class, which is fine. And then also your unarmed strike damage roll is 1d4 plus strength mod, so that if you choose to attack with an unarmed strike, you do 1d4 plus strength. And then also when you use your action to make an unarmed strike, you can use your bonus action to make another unarmed strike. So basically, if you want to do potentially more damage, but also consume your bonus action, then you can roll unarmed strike You can roll unarmed and unarmored for maximum potential there. You were looking, and even fighters can get a D8 unarmed attack at level 1 by taking the fighting style. Yeah, so that's sort of what I was just thinking, is that, like, I actually don't know how often you'll be looking at +1 or +2 or whatever strength. Also, fighter will probably kind of seem to be deprecated after Weapon Master comes out, where I guess like an unarmed fighter would just be an immortal? Question mark? Does this class dealing with the unarmed part allow us to do that? I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I guess the opportunity cost of being a fighter. I don't know. D&D is so weird because they kept adding more stuff to it, but they never. It feels like they never properly went back and looked at some vestigial things and like removed them or streamlined them to account for the fact that like new options were there. Like, maybe I'm missing something because I haven't actually played that much, even like tabletop game, video game spin-offs like Baldur's Gate or whatever, as a fighter or as a ranger. But I'm kind of struggling to imagine why you would go fighter with your ranger specialty or your archery fighting style versus going ranger. I guess ranger is more mystical, and that was the idea. It's just a bit bizarre. Like, there's certain things that it feels like they deliberately kind of left you there. Unless maybe one of the reasons why is that you can take multiple fighting styles as a fighter. Like, you can get multiple of them. That might be why. One thing I'm thinking for the Weapon Master, it's not really related to this, but it reminded me of it, is I think the Weapon Master will get like the first attack first time you use a certain weapon, a type of weapon, like a sword or a mace or a simple melee weapon of a certain kind or whatever, you'll get like a damage bonus to it. Like the first time you deal damage with it, you'll have a damage bonus, that kind of thing. And that can happen a number of times. No, that can just happen once per kind of weapon per short rest or something like that. It's a minor detail because it's only per short rest, but maybe it would refresh after. Maybe instead it would be like instead of it being a short or long rest thing, it would be like after you have attacked with like 4 different weapons, you can benefit from the bonus again or something. I don't know. Or maybe it's like for each individual weapon that you use this power for, you need to wait like... You can only do it like effectively once per combat, realistically. Like maybe it's a 5-minute long combat, or like a 5-minute long cooldown or something like that. It can only happen once every 5 minutes. That would basically effectively make it once per combat. As fighter, you can action surge and do double the damage of a higher level ranger with the same tool sets. Higher level ranger spells actually do less damage than just attacking 2 or 3 times. Yeah, but doesn't ranger also get multi-shot or something? Or is that a fighter with the archery specialty? Maybe I'm thinking of extra attack from fighter. That's really weird. I feel like most of the time at level 1, a given attack from a melee, a martial, will be somewhere between 1d6 and 1d8. Obviously, there are some exceptions, like the Great Axe wielding Bloodhound or Blood Knight, with where he's a gnoll and he can also bite. Like, that's also a really big one. I've been thinking that maybe the bite needs to be like a proficiency bonus thing. Like, you can't just do it all the time. But if I do that, I'd probably give it the opportunity to like heal you a little bit or something. Since then there's like more of a cost to it. Because otherwise it's like, I think it's like 1d6 damage plus your strength bonus, yeah. So it's like pretty significant. Anyway, even that particular example notwithstanding, like I think a great sword is 1d10. So like a barbarian, right? Bark. Uh, so there'd be that. I don't know. That's something to think about. I will be right back because I gotta go dog. All right, I have successfully dogged. Now let's get back to work. Okay, so the force of character one, I really like that because that's like a core component. The idea that you can really work your charms onto somebody. I feel like there should be a subclass that can outright charm a creature or something. I don't know. Maybe that's a little too far. But like a mystical subclass or whatever. I don't think that's really that outlandish in D&D. Okay. So bound is 1 key point to increase your movement speed by 30. This is an action. You increase your movement speed by 30. You push through other creatures that block your path, and they have to succeed on a strength saving throw or be pushed 5 feet. If there's nowhere to go, then they are knocked prone instead, which makes sense. You may spend 1 key point as a bonus action to shrug off your fatigue for reconstituting aura. Temp HP equal to con. Can't stack with themselves and expire after 1 minute. And this is a bonus action, which makes sense. Also, we got to remember that like grappling is a bonus action in our rule set. Item actions are bonus actions in our rule set. Yeah, so I think that makes sense. And then level 2 gives you Gigantic Leap, which in a 5-foot radius around the point of impact, you cause the ground to become difficult terrain. Choose to land on a creature this way. They're shunted into the nearest available unoccupied space. I should embolden dexterity. I can see it at a glance. Now, this one says when you roll with for damage with an unarmed attack. But I feel like it should probably be any attack, as opposed to an unarmed one. Because we don't really want to pigeonhole... I don't know what you think about that, Kian, if you're still here, but I don't really want to pigeonhole the class into only wielding their fists. As cool as that is, they are still proficient with simple weapons and martial weapons. So, what's up, Shambler? I feel like that's a good thing to add, or to a good limitation to remove. The idea that you can do both. Like we're making special exception for them if they do use the unarmed strike, but they still have to consume their bonus. Like there should be a downside to it, and we can have a subclass that's all about doing that as well. But yeah, I think that's probably fine. Okay, and then Thoner's Endurance comes to play when you go for successful attacks against you only count as one failed death saving throw instead of 2. I do at some point want to redesign the death save system entirely, but I have to think about a system that will not be bloated, that will scale based on the Constitution attribute, and that will the reason why it shouldn't be bloated is because I also want to apply it to every creature, as opposed to it being a unique thing only for players. I know some people will build like bosses that have it or whatever, but that's one of the main reasons why it has to be like really luxurious. It has to just work, and you don't have to keep a bunch of shit and like keep a bunch of thought processes up. That could be one thing if we wanted to keep the existing system to some degree, but I'm just thinking like I want something that won't really slow combat down to a crawl when you are dealing fatal damage to enemies, but gives them a little bit more value than them being like cut down immediately, right? I think maybe it would be something like they have to succeed on a saving throw, a Constitution saving throw, in order to avoid being cut down. But only if their Constitution is below a certain threshold. Maybe it's something like when your con. So maybe it's something like the damage that they go into the negatives from an attack becomes the DC, and they add their con modifier because it's a con saving throw, right? So they do a con saving throw against the overkill damage, and that means that like you're basically always going to pass that if it's a small amount of damage and you have any con, right? And then I guess like if you succeed, you're stable, but you're knocked down. Like you're out of the fight, you can't really do anything, but you're at least stable, and you're at like 1 hit point or whatever, right? Or 0, whatever works. I guess 0 makes more sense because it's like when I attack, like if I attack a target that's knocked down, then you just take my damage roll and you make a save against that. But yeah, I don't know. I got to think about that a little bit. Yeah, I just feel like there's something that can be done that isn't a really complicated system that will allow me to use it for creatures and monsters and NPC enemies and stuff like that without it being like, well, this is going to mean that every battle takes 3 hours or whatever, you know? Like we like our crunchy battles, we like our crunchy combat details here in this party, but I am cognizant of time. We don't always have the longest sessions, right? We usually cap out before 4 hours. And in a party of 4 to 6 people, that means max each player is having 1 hour of gameplay, right? Usually. That's how the saying goes. Yeah, that's true. It could be a thing of prep. And I'll need to worry about I'll need to remember that the system exists as well. And leave it on the character sheet somewhere. I don't even remember what it looks like. We open up Foundry. I still kind of want to try out that 3D one. I forget what it was. I posted it earlier in the server. It feels like it wouldn't really be that flexible, though. No. Anything that requires more production value is kind of its own thing, right? So what happens when I do a death save? I guess this only works on player character sheets is one problem, I'm pretty sure. Because that was another thing I was just trying to do here. I don't know what the... Oh, is that temp HP? What is this? I don't know what that is. No, that's also temp HP. What the fuck? Can I do a custom or something? It doesn't look like it. If I could do data entry here, I could just leave myself notes on the token, but... Okay. Well, we'll leave this here for now. Regardless of the failed death saving throw, regardless of whatever that system does, right now this still does things, and like it still works towards making you unkillable, basically. So that's cool. And at level 3, you get that. You get the Flesh of Steel, which is you conditionally get bonus AC based on not wearing any armor. In addition, you reduce all damage you receive by amount equal to your con modifier, which is pretty good, obviously. And then down here we've got the subclasses, which seem like we could probably... I think we could probably shove the first column or whatever. Grab this. I see. Okay. All right. So I thought about something here. I thought there was going to be something different going on. So okay. All right. So basically what I've decided to do here is I've decided to put the subclass stuff down here. We'll try to keep everything related to the Legend of the Titan localized to this area. Right now it's only 2 level 3 subclass features. And then we have a level 6 subclass feature. And since we're probably capping out at level 6, this is fine. We can figure out if we want to add other things. Since we have subclasses, we're slowly normalizing subclasses to be a level 3 thing. Whether that ends up being a maxim or not that we really stick to, like religiously, remains to be seen. If we decide to go that route, and we only cap at level 6 anyway, then we could conceivably have a subclass feature for each level. Which would also make the rest of the class kind of lightweight. Like over here, we would only need level 4, level 5, and level 6. So you already have level 5 with extra attack. But we only need to add stuff for, you know, like a little bit of stuff in the main class. And then the subclass would have a significant chunk of the mid-game content. And then end game would be like... At that point, we would probably start looking at like a whole different system for end game stuff that I haven't really formalized yet, but I have been thinking about. That would be more about like ascendancy and stuff. So this is going to be... How did I do that for blood? Looks like I just did classes and I just left it, so that's fine. Okay. Okay. So I've made a new page for the Legend of the Todd. We'll come back to that later. But we've got our idea now. Okay, so I believe I have everything here that was originally pitched as part of the class. Three Crow, you provided some of the stuff for the Legend of the Titan. Should we pause development for the moment on the Immortal class, go and do some work on the Goliath, and then come back here and figure out if Legend of the Titan seems like the good one? Another idea that I had was like, obviously I had the idea of a mystical one that does that, like more of a force of character stuff, like leaning into that angle. I had the idea for the one that would be more about like taking all the hits, so it would like bonus action assist an ally or whatever by leaping in front of them or something like that. Anyway, we can look at that if you like. We could try to work on some more concepts for this stuff. But do you think that it would be better to start building out for your class specifically, for your eventual like character selection, better to start going into the work there? What's up, Lucy? Okay, yeah. So that was something that you sent me later on, I believe. I have to scroll up here. It was the kinetic recharge, was that right? So this is a once per round and no other limit, but it does require a luck of dice rolls, which is kind of interesting. Hell yeah, brother. What games are being played? Are they epic? Oh, okay. I've been meaning to eventually get that game again. I used to have it once upon a time, and then I refunded it because I only played it with my brother and we didn't like it. But apparently my girlfriend's really good at that, so gotta check that out. I can't always be the expert gamer, you know? Max damage on a damage stat. I don't see anything wrong with this, Three Crow. The only thing I'm actually wondering is whether it's really like it's strong enough. Just to refresh my memory, the hit die thing is just what you spend on some other stuff. It's what you spend when you're taking a short rest, but if we go down here, I'm pretty sure there was something that did something to hit dice. So this is 3rd level now. I see. I see. I see. Okay. Okay. I've just like smoothed that one over. So basically, kinetic recharge would let you recover an extra hit die to spend as part of Titan's strike, right? Or no, it's okay. Right, yeah. Well, it's like you're choosing to not die, right? Which is pretty thematic for the class, I think. So with this one references plurals, 3 Crow, you have advantage on melee attacks against the creatures that reduced your ally to 0 hit points or killed them. So creatures plural, does that mean any creature that you witnessed have a hand um in your ally's unconsciousness or demise? That's how I would put it. I'm not sure about the since you already have advantage on the melee attacks, I'm not quite sure about if you need to do an additional 10 damage, but I don't really know what level 6 combat looks like yet, so I'm probably going to leave it there for the time being. Yeah, yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure. Uh, I see. Basically, if the thing resolves in one turn, then the fury is quelled. Yeah. So I guess the only thing I'm a little bit not sure about is nothing to do with balance, but it's actually to do with thematics. Because the Titan at level 3, it doesn't actually seem to care too much about allies. So this feels like as cool of it's definitely a concept that's cool for creating memorable situations, role-playing fodder, etc. I can definitely see a lot of value there. But yet it doesn't seem to I'm not getting any thematic resonance from other parts of the subclass because I guess I should embolden a few things in here as well. Well, that would definitely be a mechanistic way to link back. I was just thinking about that. Because it has the force or thunder damage part too, which is definitely emblematic of it. Okay, so that definitely seems better mechanistically, because that way we have that same thing going on. Yeah, I don't have anything against the ability in a vacuum. I just feel like the extreme the fury that bubbles up over killing friend, family, etc. I feel like we should hint at that with some kind of anchor within the subclass previously. But since we were talking about adding, a fourth level and a fifth level thing, That definitely seems like something we can do. Although I am now realizing that you're getting a lot of shit at level 3. You're getting the reduce your HP to 1 instead of 0 the first time after long rest, plus whatever we do with the saving throw stuff. You're getting this Flesh of Steel key action. And you're getting 2 subclass features. I don't really think either of these subclass features should be a level 4 thing, necessarily. Maybe you could make the argument that you could put Titan's Endurance on level 4, because Titanic Strike is the level 3, and that would solidify this subclass as the thing you take when you want to be more of a damage dealer. So I guess there's that to think about. I don't know what you guys think. Apparently my camera thinks it should be blurry. I'm very bright now. Well, I wouldn't want you to get necessarily I think what's cool about the idea of getting your subclass with your something that happens for all immortals at level 3, but filters out to be interesting no matter what your subclass is, having that global synergy, right? I think that's cool. I think that should be something that we try to achieve. But I'm not saying that I'm not really sure what you're talking about for subclass stuff at 3, because I was saying you'd keep whatever we decide the core subclass feature is. You'd keep that, and then you'd get this in Titan's Endurance thing. You'd get that at level 4 instead. That was my initial pitch. I wasn't attached to that idea. I was just throwing it out there. Because at the end of the day, the Flesh of Steel thing is just a thing you use your key on. So that would be one thing. But and like these two seem pretty minor comparatively. So I understand that, like, well, you could probably throw one of them at level 4 instead. But they're not like currently geared out to be like powerful compared to level 4 stuff. No. I was saying that, like, you could maybe try to do something like move one of these base class features up to level 4. But what I was saying is, like, maybe it's fine to get all of these at level 3 because they're not like the most potent, most powerful thing. But I don't know. Like, this only comes into effect when you die or take fatal damage, right? It takes zero HP damage. You guys know what I mean by that. Or reduced to 0 hit points. And then this comes in to play when you want to spend 2 key points. So, like, they are probably fine. It's just a lot of things that get added to your character sheet that you now have to remember, because it's not just these 2 things. It's also the 2 things here, which this one comes in this one happens every time something does damage to you and you have a hit dice. And I guess technically it also does something that happens to you every time you take a short rest, right? And then you've got this one that happens every time you want to spend a key point on an attack. So like, or every time you want to spend at least one key point on an attack. Though it's worth pointing out, it only happens if you're using unarmed strikes. I wonder if maybe what should happen is, oh no, never mind. It only happen. The unarmed strike thing is just like a thing that scales your unarmed strikes later. Yeah, the key point you can spend on anything. For a second, I was thinking that maybe it was originally written for only unarmed strikes, and then I was like, well, what if you can spend 2 key points to make it happen with a weapon, which would still bias it somewhat in favor of unarmed strikes, in that it kind of negatively it doesn't really punish, but the cost is steeper for someone who's doing a weapon build. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it is situational. It's just a lot of stuff that now you have to remember about your character, and that I, as the game master, am going to have to remember. So when it comes to the time to be like, all right, Immortal, you take fatal damage, roll a death save or whatever. You got to remember, whoever the Immortal is, which probably is going to be you, has to remember, oh shit, yeah, you don't have to do that because I'm going to be 1 HP because of my thing. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. That's correct. Because, I got like 40 other things I'm thinking about. Yeah, I was thinking that it would be more impactful for 2 key points or whatever. It would still be the same damage. It's just you would need to spend 2 key points in order to get access to the damage. You couldn't just spend 1 as a special consideration to be like, okay, you can do it for cheaper amounts of key. Like, you'd get 2d6, but you must spend 2 key points. Right? That's basically what it would be for having a weapon. Whereas if you were unarmed, then you could spend only 1 key point if you wanted to. That was like the thought process there. I also don't think that you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have too much HP scaling, like a ridiculous amount of HP scaling. I don't think. I'm using like actual character creation to create the NPCs, right? So they're going to have HP in accordance with whatever their hit dice is times level, etc. Or their hit dice for their class. So by the time you're level 3, what is it? Your D10 on the hit dice chart. So like it's D10. So it's 10 plus con for level 1, and then subsequent ones are like 1d10 plus con. That kind of thing. Yeah. Well, right, but again, in a world where like, I mean, Fireball is probably going to be looked at anyway, because I feel like I keep hearing that when you get the option to take Fireball, you're a real big dum dum if you don't. I don't know how true that is, but anytime there's a super overdetermined choice in character creation or character progression, that usually smells of bad design to me. The easy thing is to nerf the thing that's an outstanding thing. The hard thing is to buff everything else in a way that doesn't create other outliers. But yeah, I don't really think of the Immortal as being a damage dealer. However, you are going to get some real whack stuff as an option for being a Goliath. Like, I already know one of the racial features is going to extend your reach to 10 feet instead of 5 feet, which would mean that you could unarmed punch somebody who's further away. So, like, I don't know if that's what you'll end up taking, but that's something that I'm going to do for a Goliath racial feature, and that would probably be really busted for a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah, I would probably contrast the Immortal to other martials because the spellcasters are going to have their own thing that kind of balances them out. They're kind of balanced by having a lower health pool. Um, and then obviously like sorcerers, the pitch for sorcerer revision is like I lose armor class to cast my spells. Guys, please don't let me take any damage because it will do damage to me, which I think is really cool personally, but you spend one spell slot, also known as an armor class, to cast mage armor on yourself to get armor class back. It's free real estate, guys. Yeah. Well, I was thinking basically like when you wake up from a long rest or you do your initial character, right? I think you know 4 spells or something. And base AC is just 10, right? So you'd be at 14 AC, which is pretty respectable for a level 1 caster. That's probably the highest you're going to get from a caster. Like, I'm not counting warlocks when I say that, obviously. Warlocks can be kitted out to have probably equivalent AC on average, but and certainly more if they want to. But I think that ends up being pretty good for Sorks. Comparatively, like, you have something to play around, which is pretty neat, in my opinion. Wizards are kind of just like, dead in the water, which is appropriate. Yeah, you can choose between expending armor or expending your hit dice in HP. Oh, okay. That I feel like that's like a 3.5 class based on those stats. That's pretty absurd. I haven't even seen it. Is that like a subclass of a fighter or something? What the fuck is that? Reasonable. All right, I think that this is fine. We're gonna leave ourselves some notes, of course, or some things that we got to do, right? So I know that I want to do something related to this, related to the like loss, the fury of loss. We want to do something about that here. Oh, I just keep forgetting to go back and look at it, to be honest. What a sentence, honestly. Okay. I have a feeling that they must have been very upset at Tronald for picking Bladesinger. I'll have to catch up at some point. Oh, I didn't even know Matthew Mercer had a cameo. I guess the Legend of the Titan would probably have like thematics that are related to anger and fury and rage, and a barely controlled onslaught. But that feels like a less noble way of flavoring the class than what the current text indicates. So I wonder what you think about that as a justification for the level 6 subclass feature, Regrow. Sure. I'll have to listen to it off stream or watch it off stream, but that works. But this was for the class? I was talking about the subclass specifically. Unless that's what you meant. Got it. One thing that I have noticed about our general flavoring of the Immortal is that it does feel like maybe the descriptions pigeonhole it into being a good character. Maybe specifically lawful good, but I could see a chaotic bent to it. But either way, a good character, right? And generally, as I understand it, it's pretty commonplace to be like, hey, you should have classes capable of being evil. Or not just capable, but like you should leave room for evil to be a thing. I think in practice, it's really difficult to get an evil party, and we're actually seeing a lot of evidence of that in ADS, because it does take a lot of effort to coordinate good and evil. Like, if everybody's evil, then that's different. But if it's mixed, it can be quite arduous. And there's a degree to which that's true about the paladin partner as well. Right. I mean, I guess it just depends on, like, the things that I was writing for the Bulwark here are like champion of the meek. That doesn't sound like an evil person. You know what I mean? But when I came up with the malefactor idea for my RTS game, originally that was supposed to be champion, and I was like, no, it needs to have a profane bent to it. So maybe you're just the malefactor of the meek. I don't know how that works. I don't know how you be the malefactor of something that's weaker than you. But yeah. Anyway, I'm not really that concerned at the end of the day for I'm not really that concerned about the idea of like there being room to make an evil immortal, because personally I would prefer to make like I think it's fine if classes typically end up being good. Like, I know you can have evil paladins as well, but I think everybody kind of defines the paladin archetypally based on it being a good character. If we're gonna do an evil version of the paladin, I think it's so different thematically. I think thematics run the game, and if you have something that is so different thematically than what most people would typically associate with a certain archetype, then maybe you should probably have a different class for that. That's bookmarked for evil. Just saying. Just saying. So. That doesn't mean I'm going to make a duplicate version of every class that's like thematically honed to be evil, but maybe. Maybe I could. I could probably make a variant, right? I guess the subclasses would be different, and then the core aspect would be a bit different. But anyway, I'll think about that later. Not that big of a deal right now. Got it. Some serious Kratos vibes. Eh? I kind of want to try to do a D&D prep stream tomorrow. But if you're in the campaign this weekend, you can't watch. So I'll be streaming to nobody. But that's fine. Yeah, the commoner class. I know that 3Crow said that there's not that much value in having everybody be a commoner, but the value is the fact that you guys are all fucking commoners, dude. That's epic. What do you mean there's not much value? Maybe not mechanically, but fucking, are you kidding me? That shit's epic. Come up with your own shit, you know? Like, we'll build up subclasses for everything. It'll be great. I kind of want to do like a version of that where you guys end up having to indeed overthrow like an existing baron or something. I don't know. He's already run off, like a bunch of the townsfolk like run away, and so it's like you guys, whoever the party is, and then the fucking guards, and then like maybe like 10 other fucking villagers, townspeople, and the baron and his aide or whatever. I don't know. There's probably something there. You could probably do something out of that. And then you take it over, and you try to reestablish it as like a working city, and you have to deal with like all kinds of shit. I think it's fine as it is. I just need to justify it with stuff through level 4 and 5. That's what I was saying when I was talking about the thematic reformatting the themes to be a little bit more about the fury. Because if it's supposed to be like I tap into this well of anger and it's almost like a rage that I go into. Obviously there's thematic overlap with the barbarian there. But if we make that more of a pervasive aspect of the subclass, like it's not just that you are opposed to certain people or in support of other people. It's that the mistreatment of your favored people enrages you. Like leaning into that kind of thing. Where like when you witness a level 4 feature could be when you witness an ally become bloodied, as in half HP or less, you get advantage on your next attack. Just like it can, and we flavor it as like you starting to see red. And that can happen like a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus or whatever. I think something flavoring it more about the anger and stuff would make it so that when Titan's Fury comes out, it's like an explosion because the worst thing has happened, and it's been building up until I've reached level 6, and now here I am, ready to absolutely throw down over that. I don't know if that is I don't know what you think of that, if that's too much of a deviation from the thematics that were supposed to be there, the flavor of the subclass. Because your subclass explanation, it says like the meek and strong alike rally around these men of great strength who are not afraid to tackle the world head on. They fear no challenge, and those who wrong them fear the wrath. Like, I guess it hints at the wrath part, but it makes them sound a lot more like a paragon and a lot less like a furious warrior, an agent of vigilante justice or whatever you'd call that, right? Right. Well, if you're going to do it based on that, then I wonder if we should change it in such a way that it reflects the camaraderie and that sort of thing. Like, it would have to be someone you've had a long rest with. Like you slept, not like slept with romantically, but like you've shared a camp, you've shared a watch, you've shared that kind of stuff. and like had genuine experiences with. Because if it's like shoulder picked up a fucking spider again, oh, it died. Now I'm angry. I don't know if that really counts. You know what I mean? Um, I feel like there's got to be something that could be done with that. If we wanted to make it more about your power awakening because of like your spirit unshackling because of the demise or incapacitation, the grave threat of someone whose life you value, right? Yeah. Right. So it would have to be someone that you're linked to. I don't know how we do that based on mechanics. I guess we could just be vague and be like, it has to be there has to have been some kind of uh bonding that has taken place, and some examples are, and then list some examples. That could be it. Like a basic example could be like long rest together, as mentioned, but maybe it should be left to. Yeah, I think something like that is pretty good. So yeah, if it's a once per rest thing, you would choose when to activate it. It's just that if it could be activated on anybody, it would feel thematically dissonant, right? That random soldier we just met took an arrow to the face. You know what I mean? Like, mm, that might make you very upset for one reason or another, but it's not the same as like your trusted compatriot kicking the bucket at the worst possible time. Totally unrelated to all of this, but I just remembered that I had the idea a while ago that rogues should be able to add their dex bonus twice to initiative rolls, and that starting at like a later level, they should be able to. They gain like an extra reaction, and then at another level they gain an extra bonus action, and then at a final level they just outright gain an extra action. I feel like that would be pretty epic, no? Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to that kind of idea, Shambler. There has to be some kind of ceremony. And then it's just like we kind of self-police people doing it in a weird way. Like you wouldn't just sit down and do it to a random soldier you just met as an NPC, and they probably wouldn't fucking agree to it either. Um, and even if it was something where it's like, oh yeah, you just rolled this character, let's do that. Like it's not in character that your character would do that to somebody who they just met anyway. Yeah, that kind of thing could work as if we were trying to define the mechanics of it. Exactly. Like, is it C's with IE? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay, so I've got a bulwark subclass written up here as an example of one of the things I was thinking of. I'll probably come up with a different name for that later. So I guess we'll go ahead and pump that there. Okay. So I haven't flavored the descriptions of these features yet, but what do you think about this one, Three Crows? So Immortals who live up to the legend of the bulwark embody the protective instincts of the great defenders who have come before them. Acting as champions of the meek and the ill-fortuned, these undying warriors seize every possible moment to shield allies from harm and dole out justice to those who threaten their kin. And at level 3, you get Toughened Carapace. Your AC increases by 2 against ranged physical attack rolls. At 5th level, it also applies to ranged magical attack rolls. When an ally within 10 feet of you would be damaged by an attack, you can use your reaction to use Leap of Faith to switch places with them, absorbing the damage in the process. If the attack roll does not exceed your AC, you take half damage. And that's a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain spent uses on a short or long rest. And at 5th level, the range increases to 20 feet. That might end up being like 15 and then 30. I'm not really sure. That probably would be fine, actually. Keep it pretty useful, right? But yeah, I like that. I think that's pretty neat. Yeah, I'm expecting that you're going to pick the Legend of the Titan based on what you were... Like, that was the subclass you personally did, right? But I just wanted your general opinion on if you think it still fits within the thematics of the Immortal. This is the guy who would take 10,000 arrows for my allies or whatever, right? In terms of, like, could actually do it. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool. Very epic. Okay, so I'll come back to developing that one later. Really, I think we only super heavy epic need the development on this subclass since it's likely Kian's pick, and anything else I want to throw into the main class. I think you'll probably get extra attack or kinetic recharge at level 4. One of them will be level 4, and the other one will be level 5, is my thinking. Because I think basically every level you're going to get a feature, since you're only going to go up to 6th level through this system that we're developing. I think every level you'll get a feature, and every level at level 3 and beyond, you'll get a subclass feature. And some subclasses will give you more than one feature, and maybe some classes will give you more than one feature, but minimum would be one feature per level from your class, and then after on and after level 3, one feature from your subclass. Minimum. So that's what I think we're going to do there, and that's definitely going to lead to some crunchy gameplay where people are going to have to remember everything that they caught, but hopefully they can do that. Okay, let's see. I also got to think of some more key options, but I guess you get that from your subclass, right? So actually, that's something I should probably think about, is maybe a Leap of Faith should be a key thing. That makes sense, doesn't it? Instead of it being a proficiency bonus. It being one key point is actually pretty based. I think that's pretty good. I forget how many key points you get access to. It's your level plus con modifier. So that's pretty good. Okay. All right. I like it. I like it. Well, Kian, I hope that this stream was good for finalizing some good details. We are going to probably work in some kind of ceremony for bonding. Maybe instead of Titan's Fury, it'll be Titan's Bond, or maybe it still will be Titan's Fury, but the Titan's Bond part of it would be like the description of the ceremony, right? Maybe we'll have Titan's Bond be something you get access to at like level 4, and then level 5 you'd get something that doubles down on it, and then level 6 would be like the ultimate expression of that bond. That could be pretty good. I wonder if basically like you get it at level 4 and you can bond with one person or maybe two people, and then like you can have any two bonds active at one time, and then at level 5 that increases to 3, and then at level 6 that increases to 4, or maybe it caps at 3, I don't know, but like we'd figure something out for that, right? And the idea would be that we have this concept going where it's like the level will help scale it up or whatever. I think that's pretty neat. Starting at 4th level, you can let's think about what else you end up getting at level 4. Right now it's like ASI, right? I don't think that's really that big of a deal. So, but we might do like either the maybe we should do kinetic recharge at level 4. Because then we could do something based on this that would synergize with it, because it's when you roll maximum damage, right? Maybe like while in the presence of someone you have bonded with, you can like kinetic recharge can be activated when you I'm trying to think of how you'd word this right. But when you roll one less than maximum damage, you still count it for kinetic recharge. I don't know. I'll probably think of like a more organic way to do it than that. But that's something like that is the idea. So I might think about that. In any event, I think moving kinetic recharge to level 4 is pretty good. So I'm going to do that. I'm thinking about it. My thoughts are like, maybe it ends up being too restrictive, but my thinking was that ASI is at level 4. Since it might be the only ASI you get, you'd get 2 points, but you wouldn't be able to put them both in the same attribute. You'd have to put one in one attribute and one in the other. And then I thought about like making it similar to character creation with your race, where your race tells you which ones you can add to. But maybe it's just fine to say distribute 1 point to 2 attributes. I need to add. Well, I'm increasing the number of attributes you can increase, so I'm giving you more points. Yeah, I am increasing the value of the ASI, but I also don't know if you ever really should be able to get a +4 bonus to an attribute. I don't know. I haven't seen enough or played enough high-level D&D that isn't just like a stat slog. So I don't really know what people do with them. Maybe it's actually a desirable trait. This is a very messy sentence, and I would like to improve it later. I don't actually know what the benefits will be, but I know there will be a benefit for sure, at least a benefit. I'm tempted to say that if a bond is broken by either party, it cannot be remade. But I'm going to leave a question mark there, because I don't actually know if that's true. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we'll come back to this later on. I do have to pop off for now. I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff at play here. Definitely want to see what's going on. But yeah, GG's lads. Thanks, Kian, for helping with some of the little details there, and or the big details, as it were. And thanks everybody else who hung out. I'll be back tomorrow, but probably not for this. Probably for D&D mapping and stuff. So yeah, GG. We'll be back soon. Peace.